Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to Revenue Masters. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most complex issues in financial operations. How do companies scale their revenue management in contexts that involve massive amount of usage-based revenue? And to really shed light on this topic, we're very fortunate today to have two extremely confident and competent individuals join us who really know this subject matter extremely well. So firstly, let me introduce Emily Hoe. So Emily is the Chief Accounting Officer at Snowflake, where she leads accounting and finance operations. She joined the company in 2019 and has overseen revenue accounting, reporting, and corporate finance. And prior to that, she had similarly very senior roles in finance, accounting, and operations at ServiceNow and PwC. She holds a degree in accountancy from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. And we're also very lucky to have today with us Jagan Reddy. And Jagan is truly is a pioneer in this industry of automated revenue management. He was one of the very first individuals who quickly recognized the importance of this topic for automation. And in 2009, he built one of the first vendors in this space, a company called Leo, which had a product which was very well known at the time called RevPro. He scaled this company. Eventually, it led to an acquisition by Zora. He joined Zora and led that area at Zora for quite some time, and eventually left and started a company called RightRev, which is a specialist in kind of industrial scale management of revenue. He has degrees in both commerce and accounting and finance, so he's really extremely well qualified and well recognized in the industry as one of the true experts in that space. So Emily and Jagan, welcome. My name is Igor Stenmark. I failed to introduce myself. I'm an industry analyst. I'm a co-founder and managing director at MGI Research. We're an independent tech industry analyst firm, and we focus on monetization issues and enterprise software in general. So, as I said, we're going to really dig into how Snowflake tackled this issue and what was the good, the bad, and ugly, what have they found, and we'll hopefully, both Jagan and myself will be able to provide some commentary as well. So maybe let's start, Emily, if you could maybe describe just kind of at a high level, what is the context for revenue recognition management at Snowflake, and what are the most important and perhaps most complex aspects of what you guys having to handle?
Great. Thank you, Igor. Thanks, Jagan, for having me here. At Snowflake, we have a consumption-based model. Customers typically enter into a contract with us for a specified amount of credits to do things on the Snowflake platform. The contract is typically at a certain specified discount rate over a certain duration of time. And then, customers then have the flexibility to determine where they want to spend those credits, on what features and what workloads. So we have customers that use compute, storage, data transfer on the platform for different product features like Cortex AI. And as customers use the platform, the Snowflake engine meters their usage, rates their usage based on the pricing and the discounts, and draws down their capacity commitment with us. We also allow customers with the committed capacity amount to purchase applications or data on the Snowflake data marketplace. And customers can use committed Snowflake credits to pay other vendors for data that they need to derive value from their internal data as well. So this flexibility, I think, is great from a customer-first perspective. That's kind of our core value here, but it also requires a pretty robust, engine and infrastructure on the back end to allow us to recognize revenue, in accordance with 606 and close our books and report our financials.
Yeah, Well, it certainly, I think, makes it easier for the customer, but certainly much more complex on the back end financial. And Jagan, you've seen many companies in your professional career here tackling those kinds of issues. When you guys first got involved with Snowflake, what struck you the most? What some of the aspects of complexity of what they were doing that kind of piqued your interest?
Yeah. When we started with Snowflake, or we even started looking at the overall usage-based models, the one of the big complexity, actually we saw like two big complexities, I would say. The usage-based companies are not just only having usage-based performance obligations. There's other performance obligations also on the contract. Like you have the usage-based credits, but then you're also providing services, like Snowflake provides services as well, right?
Yep.
So the treatment of the revenue for those are different. And then Emily talked about they're selling through marketplace. There's other performance obligations in the contract. So even within the usage-based models, like you still have to do the under AC 606, you still allocate the revenue based on SSP. So that still applies to these models as well. It becomes super complex. Now, on top of that, the usage data, the volume of the data, the cleanliness of the data, and all that that comes in, how do you interpret all that? How do you do the metering of that? How do you rate the data and then finally feed into your billing system and revenue recognition? And then how do you reconcile? There's a lot of pieces to it to make sure like you can really align all of them and get a cleaner automation. So that was a big um, complexity we saw when we get into it. And with Snowflake, what we have seen is the sheer volume of data that comes in and how we recognize.
How how big is big? If you guys can if you both can share, Emily and Jagan both, like what kind of scale of data and speed, velocity have you had to deal with?
Emily, do you have that metrics or?
I think we process maybe like more than 1 million records.
Yeah, it's it's
Um,
it's 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 more than 1 million events comes in, and then we're not waiting for month-end processing, right? It's almost like
Yeah,
every day you have to process. It's a continuous revenue recognition. So everybody gets up-to-date revenue information. It helps them forecast and everything. So the volume is pretty high.
yeah, yeah. So Bill, let's come. I like this idea of like talking about kind of almost real-time revenue management. Let's come back to it, but maybe later in the conversation, revisit that. Jagan, as I mentioned before, you've probably seen more use cases and more implementations of this kind of technology than anyone else in the industry. What do you think kind of the biggest misconceptions that exist in the industry about revenue recognition, revenue management, both from a technology standpoint as well as from business, finance, accounting point of view? Some people think this is very simple, 606, piece of cake, I got it done, I can close my books in 3 days. And some people are just pulling their hair out. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, not many people might be aware of this, but the single biggest misconception what we have seen is taking kind of a subscription-based policies and systems and processes and trying to fit into the usage-based is what we have seen. It's going really wrong and it's failed and it's created a lot of pain for customers. So we all know subscriptions are time-based entitlements and usage is completely event-based entitlement. So it's completely different. Usage-based introduces like you need to do metering. It's very unpredictable. It's variable in timing and amount. So most of the time, the professionals assume, the finance professionals assume, if I can handle subscription, I can handle usage as well. But in reality, the consumption requires continuous measurement. We talked about it. You do every day. Um, at Snowflake, like what I've seen is when it comes to the core trend, they're looking for more frequent processing of the data. So it's a continuous measurement, the valuation of the revenue, and then allocation across performance obligations. So these are needs a special engine to handle this complexity. So never try to fit the subscription model into the usage base, it's not going to work. So it's a data operations problem, what we have seen, and we need to address that within this accounting stream.
Got it. Got it. Emily, any comments on that? Like, what have you guys seen? Like, clearly moving away from subscriptions towards usage. Complicate technologically, it sounds like from what Jagan is describing, you have to essentially measure the data in almost real time, all the time, almost like as if you were for billing, for metering
Right.
and billing. What have you guys seen on your end?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys take a look at the Snowflake consumption table, we have, very fine-grained details around how we meter customers and how we would rate their usage. And it is a very event-based measure that, current ERP or software systems are not really set up to do. So when I talk to people who are familiar with maybe, the traditional on-prem software model or familiar with a SaaS model, I'm like, hey, you really need to kind of think about the infrastructure that you need for a usage-based system. We built a lot of the ability to meter and rate in-house, but had no interest in further building out the revenue allocations engine. So that's where we started the journey of exploring, hey, what are the tools out there that can help us? And Jagan was a big partner for us in this space.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at your approach to managing revenue recognition, as we call automated revenue management or ARM, how has that evolved over time? Like, what did you start with? How did that progress? What different strategies have you tried? And where did you guys end up?
Yeah, this goes back to kind of when I first started at Snowflake. We were in the process of implementing our ERP systems, and we were trying our best to figure out how could we make the revenue recognition model in the ERP system work. But again, it was a traditional revenue module that was more handling subscription-based items, not at the level of complexity that we had in our business. So we have evolved from kind of trying to work around the limitations of our ERP system at that time. Not to say that they have not evolved over time as well, but dealing with the limitations and figuring out what we need to take offline in manual spreadsheets, and then post implementation of RightRev, being able to kind of convert the manual processes into RightRev, where the data flows seamlessly across the front end and the back end systems, and being able to post journals in an automated fashion. We have gone a long way.
Right, right. So you've gone, let me guess, you've gone from significant portion of spreadsheet as being an element of, regular close to where are you right now? I suppose you're probably still using some spreadsheet, maybe
Yep.
not.
We do still have some, but it is a lot fewer than what it would have been if we didn't have the right infrastructure in place.
Okay, okay. And I want to ask you another question. I mean, Snowflake is a robust software company, and in organizations like that, there's generally historically very strong build versus buy bias. And you opted to go for a buy option. Can you share with us the thinking of yours and your team when you guys were contemplating this approach and strategy? What drove your decision to sort of go with an external solution versus building it on your own?
Yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, we do all of the metering for usage within the Snowflake platform. We used to use a third-party application to do the rating, but as we were trying to make sure that we have the right control and compliance infrastructure, also took the rating piece of it in-house on Snowflake. And we came to realize that it is a very large level of effort and investment on in-house engineering talent that could be deployed to, product innovation and delivering, new features and really kind of differentiating our core product. So we kind of wanted to limit kind of the investment of engineering resources. So we also thought, with kind of revenue allocations, it should be something that there are solutions out there for. So we kind of embarked on this search for the right tools in place. Kind of understanding revenue recognition or 606 is not a core competency of our engineering function
Right.
today, or our enterprise technology function. So we felt that a purchase decision was probably the right direction to go, and we embarked on that search. I mean, obviously, if we hadn't found RightRev, we might have ended up building it in-house, but we were happy with what Jagan was able to show, and he can tell you all about technology that he has.
Yeah.
Right. Jagan, go ahead.
Igor, to just add, like, I think one of the undermine thought process is about future proofing the innovation, right? Like when engineering is building, they basically very highly dependent on the requirements coming from the finance team, and they are building for what's required at that point in time, and not as what is coming in the future. So a lot of finance folks say, oh, we don't change too much. We don't do a lot of pricing and packaging changes. The rules are set now. That's not going to change. The mindset revolves around it. But to give you an example, just within Snowflake, like it's been like 4 years. We've been working with Snowflake, and the amount of new product introductions, the way the pricing and packaging changes, um, that Emily and the team were able to really support all those changes with the automation they had in place. So that's the magic we brought in. Of course, it's not like a magic wand, like something is getting introduced
Mhm.
and writer will make it happen. It's a collaboration between both the teams. We work together. Sometimes there are new requirements, so then how agile as a team we can be and upgrade our software to meet the requirements, because this space is continuously evolving. It's not like
Yeah.
it's set in stone and we know what to build. There are new requirements coming every day. The AI companies are coming in and they are testing out so many different pricing models. So this is where we are a thought leader in this, where we are connecting with a lot of companies, understanding what's happening, and trying to build out for all this pricing models so we can easily support our customers. So future proofing the innovation is one of the big things that everybody has to think through, where they are not focusing on this. Allow us to focus, build it, and then have you enable all this for your new product introductions and your pricing and packaging models.
Yeah, so just a maybe quick follow-up for both of you. So since the time you guys introduced RightRev into Snowflake, been a couple of important events. AI has become kind of in our vernacular now, every on a day-to-day basis. So Emily, from your point of view, how has that changed the landscape of what you need to be concerned with? Has that impacted your revenue management requirements? I know Snowflake has its own AI-based products and features, so you're introducing it, and you guys are also processing a lot of workloads of both AI companies that are new and also established players that are getting into AI. And Jagan, what have you seen from your kind of vantage point? And also, you guys introducing AI features into rev recognition as well. So how do you guys think about it? Maybe Emily, to start with you on that.
Yeah, we have been launching AI SKUs on Snowflake. So there's a lot of new AI features now. There's Cortex AI, there's Snowflake Intelligence that is in private preview right now that we've had to work through on the back office side, how to support, the metering, the rating, and eventually the revenue recognition. As Jagan was saying, we are in unprecedented times. Like there is a lot of changes happening on the AI front, and we want to be able to capitalize on the AI trends at Snowflake. We want to be able to experiment with different pricing. Business teams are thinking about hey, do we kind of discount some of these AI features differently in order to drive consumption? And a lot of that requires some level of backend system changes to support that. And with the foundation that we've laid with RightRev for revenue recognition and allocations, I think it sets us up well for us to be able to meet those business needs and kind of go-to-market initiators.
Yeah. And Jagan, what are you seeing from your vantage point? And maybe if you can talk a bit about what you guys are doing with AI innovation yourselves.
See, overall, how do we enable, like, first of all, like, the huge kudos to the Snowflake engineering team from the perspective, the speed in which they launch all their technology and the AI innovation is amazingly good. We are one of the consumer of their technology, and we continue to deliver AI capabilities using their technology as well. And when we started looking at our AI landscape and to see, like, how do we help our users and customer base, and how can we improve their automations and day-to-day operations. So we kind of figured out we are going to operate with a combination of a rules-based engine with the AI knowledge to combine and improve the day-to-day operational efficiency. That's where our focus has been. So
Mhm.
for the AI, I would say it's still not there to get the 100% accuracy. I always um, tell my users, basically, the revenue recognition has to be 100% correct. There's nothing in between, like you can get 70% accuracy or 80% accuracy. It has to be 100% accuracy,
Has to be accurate. Yeah.
right? There's always some tolerance, which is fine. Tolerance is for different reasons, not for a system to do the calculation. So the AI is evolving. It's still not there, but we are taking step by step. So right now we are enabling the day-to-day operational efficiency for our users using the AI.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Precision is absolutely paramount. We often, when we advise clients on our end as industry analysts, we often tell them, if you do revenue recognition correctly, chances are you may not even ever be recognized. A couple of people will say, it's all great. You close the books in 3 days versus 3 weeks. Fantastic. Thank you for your job. But if you get it wrong, somebody might go to prison if you're in a public company. So it's a very asymmetric set of conditions that could happen. Jagan, just to follow up on how you were describing kind of what you guys are doing with AI and what you see in the industry, what continues to, you've been doing this for dozens of years, what continues to surprise you as you look at automation of revenue recognition, both at Snowflake, but also companies that may be similar?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, this is not a new problem. I've been talking about this for the last 20 years, as in when I stepped into the revenue recognition world. Data becomes super important in the revenue recognition landscape. And today, if you really see how our application operates, we have a lot of data validations built in just to make sure there is no bad data gets in, because bad data gets in, you are not going to be 100% correct. So we try to stop a lot of things at the gate and give visibility to the business to say, like, here's the data problems you have. So when you look at the data that's sitting in the RightRev today, it's a gold mine. It's the most cleanest
Mm,
data you have, and you have the complete order or even code to revenue and cash data. Everything sit in the application. It's a gold mine that you can use it for a lot of different purposes. So the biggest thing that I see, so it's not a new problem. It's still an old problem.
yeah,
But the problem becomes even more bigger now with AI coming in, because if you allow AI to make decisions for you, for recommendations for you, then if your data is super bad, then you are not going to be able to rely on that outcome, what you're saying. So I would say that problem still continues to be exist, and it becoming much and much larger now than what we have seen before.
yeah. Emily, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think Snowflake's mission is to eliminate data silos. We would love it if all customers bring their data onto Snowflake and to be able to give full visibility and transparency across the organization. And I think one of the benefits that we've had as a data platform company is, we already have a lot of usage, metering data, contract data onto Snowflake. And in partnering with RightRev, like we are able to build logic to do high level data validations, clean up, detect and identify data anomalies. So a lot of the data wrangling that would not have been possible without the technology and tools that we have in house. We are able to do. And yeah, I think Jagan is absolutely right. Data is the critical input to make sure that all the processes are working correctly.
Yeah.
And to add to it, especially we are talking about usage-based data, the metering data that's coming from the usage engine, trust me, it's not going to be super clean because there's a system that's tracking all this metering. It's attaching to a contract. It's figuring out what is the unit price based on the tiers. There's a lot of complexities in how you rate it. And then you're feeding into revenue systems, billing systems, all of this.
Yeah.
You do expect there's going to be issues with that data, and you are going to be constantly fixing that data. So there is always not, you're always looking retroactively, not just prospectively. So you have to anticipate that and build that in your processes and systems to handle, which we have seen in several of our customers happening this. And it's not a surprise, but you just need to be ready for it and embed in your process so that during month-end close, you're anticipating this.
So speaking of month-end close, Emily, when you guys look at kind of at the business level, finance level, automating your revenue management, what kind of business outcomes has that generated? Especially given there's so much change now again, and
Yeah.
variable revenue, variable consideration, services, AI-based revenue. How has automating revenue changed things for you guys at Snowflake?
Yeah, it has definitely helped to accelerate the close for us. As a public company, we need to get our close done, and revenue is a key metric for us. So being able to get visibility to revenue real time and getting the inputs to allow us to better predict where we are going to land, even in a usage-based model, is really helpful. Like, I mean, a lot of SaaS subscription-based companies can close their books on day one and say, hey, this is my revenue for the quarter. As a usage-based company, it's not so easy, and we've been able to fine-tune that. We are able to work with others on the planning side to give them visibility to, hey, these are the carves out that need to happen throughout the quarter, and to avoid surprises on our results at quarter end.
Yeah, yeah. And looking back at your experience with usage-based, and you guys as a company probably now have, more experience with a lot of other companies combined. What have you done differently? Sort of looking back and saying, knowing what you know now, and also it's a question for Jagan as well. I mean, both in the context of Snowflake, but also elsewhere. Like, what are the lessons learned? What are the kind of key learnings? I mean, one is clearly you need to have your data cleansed all the time. You need to prepare a line budget item that says we're going to invest in data cleansing on a constant basis and mechanizing this whole process. But what else is there besides that? What would you do differently?
Jagan, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I can help because we've been like super deeply embedded within the process here, and I've been living with Snowflake for like 4 years and going through all this.
Right.
I would still say data readiness is a continuous process. So I would say initially we completely underestimated how critical how cleanliness the usage data needs to be, and how do you link it to the contracts, because unless you rate it properly, all this usage data, everything else downstream is going to fail. So the linking is super important. And then you're going to get information like, is this usage is part of the commit, or is it going to be coming as an overage? So you need to understand all this sub data elements within your transaction to understand what type of usage it's coming in, how do I recognize? There's a big element of variable consideration in the usage business model. Um, so the data is driving most of this, and how do you get the data point is right is going to be super important. So never underestimate the data, because when you start automating with any tool, it doesn't matter, you're going to look at the sub attributes of your data. You're going to understand, because that's what is going to drive you build all your revenue policies and rules to get it working. Now, the second thing is also about change management. When companies start doing this in spreadsheet, they're always thinking about like month end process kind of thing. That's a big shift, because when you're doing manual or in some other semi-automated fashion, you cannot put everyday processes. It's super hard for them to do everyday processing all this. So their mind is completely aligned to a month-end close process. That's a big change management that you need to drive, where it's a continuous event-driven mindset. And it is a shock for a lot of people, because they are used to do this at the month end. Now, every day you're looking at the usage data, how much revenue is being recognized, what are some of the anomalies you're seeing, clean the data. You should be cleaning the data almost like every day you're looking at it.
Yeah.
If you let it slide through, then you're stuck in the month end where you're going and doing all this cleaning the data, which is going to really, really slip your close timeline. And that's going to be, so that's why the change management to everyday revenue recognition in the usage business model is super important.
I think when we started off, with the growth trajectory that we have had, it was almost like we were already quite a big company to try to do this at scale with the volume of usage data and the types of different contracts that we have. I think, if we were to do this all over again, I would kind of think about doing it earlier. It's easier to move to a different software when there is less data to deal with, or maybe kind of phase the rollout a little bit differently versus trying to do it all at one go. But we are very happy with where we are today. Jagan has been an incredible partner, helping us, fine tune things as we have kind of explored kind of new go-to-market motions and whatnot. So it's been a great journey.
A quick follow-up for both of you. So where do you think are the opportunities for innovation in revenue recognition management, in automated revenue management? Some we hear a lot about people thinking that Gen AI is going to play a significant factor in maybe not doing the whole process, but maybe doing some piece parts, maybe like SSP calculations and so on. What's your take? I mean, feel free, Emily or Jagan, take it
I
away
can
first.
I can take it to begin with. What's the big difference when you compare the typical subscription model to the usage business model is the predictability of your revenue, right? That's a fundamental shift in how you predict your revenue. Um, in the usage business model, predictability becomes super challenging, because you may have a contract term, but you're still recognizing based on usage patterns. Now, how do you forecast your revenue? That's where we strongly feel AI comes into play, where you can look at the historical usage data and allow the AI model to predict your future revenue based on the usage patterns. Now, it's not a simple time series that you can predict. The prediction can involve a lot of seasonality there. The usage patterns shift a lot. And there's also going to be a big difference in the data that's captured in the metering and rating systems than compared to what comes into the revenue system. Because in the revenue system, there's you're assigning SSP, you're doing allocations, there's a lot of other factors, right? Like variable consideration, everything is there. You need to basically feed all this into the revenue forecasting model to get a more accurate forecasting into the consumption business model. So I strongly feel one of the best use case for AI is to apply that on the forecasting model, especially for the usage, products.
Emily, any comments?
Yeah, I think the consumption-based model is here to stay, and it would probably grow in the degree of complexity and the volume of data in the next few years. So I think from a finance perspective, the business users really need to think about what is needed to enable their companies to go about this transformation.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both. This was tremendously informative and a lot of depth. Lucas, do we have any Q&A that we want to tackle now, or do you want to provide that and we'll submit answers later?
Yeah, can we just do the Q&A now?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Do you want me? I can just copy the questions into the chat here.
Okay, I see some of the questions already here. Thank you. So here's an interesting one, and probably one you'd both enjoy. Under consumption model, what are the best practices for estimating variable consideration? Are there tools or guides out there that can help with these estimates?
I can take it, Emily, and then maybe if you want to add it.
Yep.
Snowflake specific you can do. But in general, especially for the variable consideration where it can get super painful, how do you estimate? Yeah, there are once you have an estimate, it's easy to input into the system and have the accounting work. But then how do you estimate? This is where the historical data, the usage data comes into play. And also the contract attributes are super important, right? Like, do you really have an annual commit or a monthly commit? What is your commit pattern? And then how are you tracking? So if you have the commit pattern, then you can use the usage data to see whether you are within the commit or you're going on overages. Now, when you have these two data points, it's easy for a system to estimate the VC as well, variable consideration for you. If you don't have those data points, then system cannot estimate anymore. And also, if your commits are annual, then we have no idea the monthly usage, is it overage or within your contract terms. It's very hard. So it depends on the contract attributes. If you have the monthly commits and you can track, the system also can track, because you have a monthly commit, we know what is the usage. We can easily break down within the commit and overages, and the system can estimate VC. That's the best answer I can give, where a system can automate this for you.
Yeah. No, Jagan's absolutely right. Looking at the contract attributes, you may set a floor or a cap on your variable consideration estimates. And particularly for Snowflake, we use a lot of historical data as basis for our estimates. And I think that gives the auditors some comfort as well. There is something for them to look back at and to look forward to. So, I think from my perspective, you will want to think about, hey, is there a tool out there that can kind of pull all these estimates together to make a recommendation? But, as the business user, you still want the ability to be able to do some overrides if some of the estimates don't make sense, or if you would prefer to land on a more conservative or an aggressive view, you can adjust that accordingly. And yeah, we work very closely with RightRev on the variable consideration functionality as well.
Great, thank you both. Another question here. We are a SaaS company, I assume, and we tried unsuccessfully to migrate towards an external RevRec software. It did not work because we were not able to replicate in the external tool the complexity of our process. Has Snowflake had to change their process, or were we able to customize the software to accommodate all their needs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to Jagan's point earlier, change management is a critical part of the process, and we did have to adjust some of the processes. The key is, does the business process change make sense, and is it enabling, new business initiatives and go-to-market motions, or is the business change hampering some of this flexibility and agility that you need? And I think we have been able to, go towards a more business enablement, strategy with RightRev in place than we had before.
Yeah, and to add to this in general, what we suggest a lot of our customers is whatever your complexity that you have, is it unique to your business, or is it something you need to evaluate, like are you doing something unique? What are the other companies doing, and try to change the process. If it's super unique to
Hmm.
you, then there is no choice. Like you're either going to customize the software or going to handle it offline. The best way is to figure out why you're unique and how you can change the process.
Yeah.
It can fit. Or I'll give you another example. This is a great example. Snowflake is a thought leader in the usage business model, and they've been evaluating and coming up with a lot of different options, the way the price and package. We were faced with a challenge where some uniqueness, but then we figured out, being a thought leader, when they try all the different pricing and packaging, they're introducing something in the market, we expect a lot of other companies to follow that as well, right? So we as a vendor, we immediately adopted to that model and we delivered a solution, but it's not a customization, it's a solution that can handle that model. And now we are seeing more and more customers kind of adopting that model as well. So you might be unique for you, but you might be leading that space, and you're bringing that model into the community.
Okay, thank you both. So question towards Emily, our usage data, metering usage type, customer-facing usage dashboards, well, was that built by Snowflake's internal engineering, or is that done in RightRev or some other tool?
Yeah, we don't use RightRev for measuring and rating usage. That is within the tool. Our customers can see real time what their usage is, and how much they've spent. So that is one of the product features that we have available within the Snowflake platform, built by our internal engineering team.
Got it. And another question, how do you manage data quality between billing, CRM, and revenue systems to avoid reconciliation issues?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and that's what we've been talking about, the age-old data quality problem. But I think, Jagan, we've built data validation logic, within RightRev as well, to help us, hey, these are the different scenarios, and you need to check this to that and whatnot. And we probably have like 80% automated data validation within RightRev today, or more.
Yeah, the data validation happens at different stages, right?
That's true.
In
Yeah.
every system, there's a validation, but then the ultimate validation happens in RightRev to clean out even the left out any bad data. So that's how you build the data validation. There is no magic wand or anything to figure out, is there anything wrong with your data. You have to build the rules. You need to tell the system what is right data, what is wrong data. There's a lot of basic validations happens. There's hundreds of validations, but then there are validations that are very unique to your business model, your processes. You need to build that rules. And as a platform, like, we provide tools for you to build all that. But then now with AI is emerging, there can be more intelligence added to it to automatically identify even without rules, based on historical data points, and kind of surface that problem so the users to go fix it. Yeah, that's how you you kind of fix these systems. But one important rule is don't try to fix the data in the revenue systems. Always fix it in the source so that it's super easy for reconciliation. This is the biggest mistake we have seen a lot of business do is they go and say, why? Because they're used to the Excel spreadsheet mode, you can go and edit anything in Excel and do your calculations. But when you go into the automation, don't just fix it in the revenue systems, because even if you fix it, your upstream changes, both systems are completely disconnected. And there's a lot of reconciliations happen between these two systems, and users spend huge amount of time during month end.
Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question. So it also starting with Emily, has the availability of more real-time revenue data and constant experimentation and pricing changed how you collaborate with our leaders within Snowflake?
I want to say that it has necessarily changed. The data that is available to me today is available to other leaders as well. I think that is the beauty of, having data sitting on a single data platform. It gives everyone real-time visibility. It has kind of allowed us to avoid surprises and give more predictability to our
Mhm.
revenue numbers, which is great, and it allows us to make certain decisions in terms of how do we maybe allow customers to adjust their contracts, depending on where we see the trend of usage going.
All right. Well, thank you both very, very much. This is Igor Stenmark. This has been a
Hey,
session on.
Igor, sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt. Do we have time to cover that last question?
I think so. I believe so. Maybe
Thank you
one
so
last
much.
one. Okay, no worries. Are companies sending usage data to their CRM to trigger booking events, or are you integrating data straight into your revenue engine? Good question.
I can take this question. There is twofold answer to this. One is your usage data flows directly into the revenue engine. For revenue recognition, you're going to feed that into the billing engine as well if you have to do the billing to the customer. Once again, the timing of these two can be very different. For example, you might be billing your customer quarterly, but for revenue recognition, you have to do monthly. So the timing of when you send this data can be different. Some customers send the usage data into RightRev for revenue recognition, but if they have a quarterly billing, they expect RightRev to push the data into the billing system. So we have seen that happening. But at the same time, in the usage data, when you have overages coming in, you want to send that data into the booking system to create like contract amendments because there is overage data happening. So expect to send that partial of your usage data into your CRM tools because you have to make those contract amendments as well. Just sending to the revenue engine will not help because then the systems are going to be disconnected because you're not going to have the booking in your CRM. So you have to bifurcate the data and send it to the CRM as well.
Yeah, do not expect that everything is synchronous and kind of waterfalling down. So basically every piece of data can be sent to any other piece of data. It's completely asynchronous, and timing can be completely different.
Yep. You can feed into one central system and you can share the data like RightRev as an option where you can feed it in, and then you can segment your data and say like this particular data can go to CRM, this can go to billing. How do you summarize and send to different systems? We can do that, and then it all depends on where you want to centralize the data and become the source of truth.
All right, Lucas, I think that's all we have time for, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Emily, so much. Thank you, Jagan, for your insights. Thank you, Lucas, and the team here. There are more questions. We just can't handle every one of them. So hopefully we'll provide them to participants and try to get you answers. This has been a session on how Snowflake scaled up its revenue management on an industrial scale. Thank you, Emily, again. Thank you, Jagan. That's it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Hugo. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.